Man, I swear comic books are the strongest lobbyists in America. Every Tuesday night, I have the same conversation with myself. I say, self, tomorrow, we're gonna go easy. We're gonna be responsible. You don't need to buy every single book. Matter of fact, you still got books in the plastic back from 2 weeks ago that you still need to be reading, but you ain't did it yet because you keep buying more books. And every Wednesday, I walk in that comic book shop just to look for more. When I already know my pool box is looking at me like a baby mama that got 6 months worth of child support due to her, then the comic book shop hit me with the, you ready? Ready for what? Ready for financial ruin. I ain't even asked what came out yet. He already ringing up stuff they know that I like. At this point, my pool list got a direct deposit. It get paid before I get paid. DC be over here like,
thank you for your donation for Absolute Batman.
Marvel be over here like,
thank you for your donation for Daredevil.
And then, you know, the indie publishers always jump off the top rope with a new #1 that I'm interested in, and then they get their donation too. Everybody get a piece. Now I'm standing here doing comic book math. Like, if I tell my landlord that rent is a suggestion, then I'll have enough to get everything I want today. But I probably also won't have a place to live. I can make it work. And every week, I make it work. Y'all know because y'all be here. So with that said, welcome back to the Pullpit Wednesday, where we celebrate bad financial decisions one comic book at a time. And with that said, let's hit the shop. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Pullpit Wednesday, the weekly show where we break down the hottest comic books dropping every new comic book day. Every week, y'all. This is where we discuss Marvel, DC, Image, Boom, Mad Cave, all of those studios that are going to be taking our money today. And today we got a decent amount. It's not as big as the last couple weeks, thank God, because I don't know if my wallet could take it. This week, some of my most anticipated books will have to be Absolute Batman #22. Of course, it's Absolute Batman. Everybody loves Absolute Batman. You can't go wrong with that. Then we got Absolute Catwoman #2. That first book was definitely a hit, and I can't wait for #2. Then we got the Home Squad with Green Lantern #18, and of course, like I said, they're the Home Squad, so they always gonna be on the list. And I'm gonna have to put Fury of Firestorm #4 as my honorable mention, because that last book was something serious. So if you're new here, go ahead, hit that like and subscribe button. Go ahead and hit it right now. Subscribe to the Melanie Report, and let's head to the comic book shop. All right, first up, we got the top of the list. Now, these are all the books that will be waiting for me at the comic book shop on my pool list. They're ready to go when I get there. All right, starting off the top of the list, we got Absolute Batman #22, of course. Of course, Absolute Batman is the hottest book out right now, and it's definitely got some of the best stories out right now. I mean, I'm not ashamed to say it's beating out my home team right now, but I mean, it's just dark, and it's got Bruce in it. Everybody loves Bruce. Of course, you got Scott Snyder on the keys and Nick Dragotta on the artwork. And as I said, at this point, this is pretty much an appointment meeting. Every month we meet on the week that this book comes out, and we sit and we go, and this is the first book I go over. It's one of those series where you don't just want the creative team to take you somewhere, but you actually trust where they're taking you with every single issue. Every issue has its own story that's self-contained and gives you something that wants to read the next issue, while also giving you a story that builds to an entire big culminating thing that happens in the story arc. And that is the key to a perfect comic book. Of course, the main thing that happened in issue 21 was the reveal and the fight between the Absolute Robins and Absolute Batman. If I had to describe it, it was like Power Rangers Zeo fighting a human. A human would be Batman, of course, but a human. I don't know how a human wins against Megazords. But it's also interesting because there was a lot of infighting between the Robin team and their leader, Deathstroke. Deathstroke was pretty much at an all-out war with Batman, while the Robins were not liking the destruction that was causing to the city. And he also seen how Bruce was acting during the fight. So there was kind of a save the cat moment that the Robins saw, and they were like, I think we might be on the side of this guy. But we shall see moving forward, but I think that is what will happen soon. So now in issue 22, it looks like we're going to cash in all the momentum that's happened in the previous issue. We're going to get the Absolute Universe take on Harley Quinn and her backstory. And will the Robins defeat Batman, or shall Batman take the win? We shall see in issue #22. So if you're waiting to get the Absolute Universe, this would be the perfect time to. I don't know why you've waited this long to get in the Absolute Universe, but this would be the perfect time to, because Bruce and the Robins, things are about to hit the fan. Staying in the Absolute Universe, let's talk about Absolute Catwoman #2. That first issue was decent. Now we got Che Grayson and Scott Snyder on writing. We also got Ben Gao putting down all the work on the artwork. And after that first issue, I'm just disappointed this is going to be only a 6-issue book. It hit hard. The misdirection they had in the first couple of pages that had you thinking that the first person was going to be the person you thought it was, but then it wasn't, and then you meet the actual person you wanted to be, that went hard. It almost made Catwoman look like a Black Widow type moniker. And I won't say too much else because I don't want to spoil the first issue, but like I said, that first issue went hard. But I don't want to spoil it, but we meet an important character who might be getting their own series. I don't know if they will, but I have heard rumors about it. But again, I won't spoil who we met at the end of the book, but it was cool. Like I said, the only thing I don't like about this book so far is that it's only going to be 6 issues. I wish it continued on like all the rest of them, especially with us losing Martian Manhunter last week. You know, I feel like we could just keep this one going, even though we did get Green Arrow. But, you know, we could just keep this one going. Scott, I think you should make some calls and just get on the phone and just be like, hey, Che, need to get a big contract and get some more books. Everybody? I think everybody would agree. But in the meantime, I can't wait for issue 2. I can't to see how she interacts with the character that they introduced. And I wanted to see if she gets her own book moving forward as well. While I think there's other characters I want to see have their own book first before that character, I definitely would be mad to see us get another Absolute book. And it's Selena, so if you're looking for a good crime story, this will definitely be the one for you. Go ahead and hop into her.
Anything for Salinas.
And it's only issue number 2, so you only got one book to read before this, and then you get this, and then you got the whole backstory of Selena. Well, technically you have to read Absolute Batman number 13, I believe. And then you be caught up to a story. Next up is Green Lantern number 18 with Morgan Hampton on the keys and Fernando Pescerin on the artwork. And every month they remind us why the Green Lantern mythos is bigger than just one ring. What really worked for me in the issue number 17 was the balance. Yeah, you got the massive space battles and all the cosmic action you could ask for, but underneath it all, you got a story about trust, fear, and responsibility. The tension surrounding Aya, the looming threats of the Manhunters, and Jessica Cruz's emotional journey gave us a spectacle of some real heart. Now, that's the difference between a good Green Lantern comic and a great one. Good job, team. Good job. So now it looks like things are about to get a little bit crazier. Guy Gardner is powered up by all the emotions, and Jessica Cruz is trying to fight what looks like an impossible battle, but we know my Lanterns is gonna come up on top against the Manhunters. They ain't going. So like I said, I can't wait for this next issue. It's gonna be a banger. Now let's swing over to Marvel, because y'all know I can't let a good Daredevil run slide. We got Stephanie Phillips on the writing and Lee Garber on the artwork, and they have been doing an amazing job. My favorite thing about this run is how depressed they have Matt, and how he's just paranoid and just tripping over his shadows and just doesn't know who to trust. And now I'm reading more Daredevil, pretty much that is the central to his character. You test Matt to see how crazy things could get for him, and then he has this moment of hope and he comes out of it. And in this last issue, that moment of hope came from none other than our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Now, Peter's life is messed up just like Matt, so he's the perfect person to come and say, hey, look at it like this. Because Peter's more of an optimist. We all know that. So when he deals with things, he looks at it from the happiest place it could be. Matt and him talk about how paranoia is clouding his senses, and Peter talks about his spider sense and how he can use the same things that he uses for his spider sense to clear up the, I'm just going to call it the Daredevil sense right now that he has. So they go on the venture, they try it out, it works, and I think we're going to have a more clear-minded Matt moving forward. But in that issue, we also had an attack that I don't remember who the person was, but it seemed like it was somebody important. I got to go back and reread to see who the person was to Matt. But some stuff happened at the end of the issue. That Omen, man, he is vicious with his killings. So I think the next 2 issues, this Omen storyline will wrap up and we'll move on to the next storyline, because Marvel likes to do things in 6 issues. Not saying that Daredevil is going to wrap up in 6 issues, but this Omen storyline will wrap up and then we'll move on to the next. But reading this has made me excited to go back and read Ed Brubaker's run on Daredevil, because if you read any of his books that he's come out with, you know that he would do Daredevil justice, no pun intended. So if you like murder mystery and suspense, this is the book for you. Next up, we got Fury of Firestorm number 4, written by Jeff Lemire, and we have Rafael De La Torre on the artwork. And I definitely have to say that this book has surprised me. Every issue has me reading, turning the pages slowly, because I'm like, I don't want to spoil what comes next, but I want to know what comes next. Especially that last issue when Firestorm faced the Justice League. The way that Jeff wrote it made it seem tragic. It was pretty much a non-fight, and he fought the strongest members of the Justice League, and they went down one by one. Very easy. And it was kind of poetic the way he wrote each one, and showed how Firestorm just knew their greatest weakness and was pretty much just able to use it against them instantly. It reminds me of the Batman storyline where he knew all the weaknesses of the Justice League and someone stole the plans and was able to use them against everybody. But Firestorm did this in pretty much like 5 minutes. And the way they tell the story, again, it's very poetic and it gives a lot of emotional weight. It's not like it's just a super villain that's coming to a town and destroying everything. It was more like an act of God is happening at this point. And what can stop God? People's families are being caught in the middle of this attack, and everybody's just sad and trying to just figure out what can we do to stop Firestorm. And in the last book, we found out that Dr. Stein is not as good of a person as we thought he was, and he had some nefarious things going on when he started the Firestorm Matrix. So in this next issue, we'll get some answers with what's going on with Martin Stein and how him and Ronnie Raymond are going to get back together to figure out how to stop Firestorm. And I'm interested to see, like I said, this is a sleeper hit. If y'all not reading this, I suggest y'all hop in. It only has 4 issues out, so there's only a couple that you have to read to get the entire story. This is a good one. Next up, we got Speed Racer number 10, and I'm ashamed to say I am still not caught up. I am on issue number 5. The problem, actually no, I'm on issue number 4. The problem was that I bought the trade and it had issues 0 through 4. And I have the singles of 6 through 9. So I didn't have issue 5. So I had to find issue number 5, but I just have not been able to. I've been traveling, doing some stuff, yeah. But these are excuses, I know. I will read issue number 5 this week, and I will catch up to this story. And by the time we talk about this again, I will be all caught up. So in issue number 4 is when Racer X is revealed to be Speed Racer's brother. And pretty much that's the last thing I've seen that happen in the Speed Racer universe. But I know literally every other story going on. I read all of Racer X. I read all of the side stories that have gone on in the universe. I know everything except what's happening in the main story. But if y'all like this book, please leave a comment. Tell us what's going on. But from what I've read, this has been a great book, great story. And y'all know I say this every time. It means a lot to me. Shout out to my boys. Next up, we got Uncanny X-Men number 31. And I have finally figured out the way to know exactly what's going on in each book at all times. You got to read them all together, because the last time I've read, because I just read Uncanny X-Men number 30, but then I read X-Men at the same time, and I read X-Men United at the same time, and I was like, oh, I finally understand how these stories are different. I knew there was two different teams that were happening in Uncanny X-Men and X-Men, but now I realized that X-Men United is pretty much a way to bring all the characters together, even though the teams are separated in the other books, which is smart. So now I have a new appreciation for X-Men United, because that's where we can see everybody together, because they can enter the school or Gray Matter Lane pretty much through their mind wherever they are. So despite that one half of the team is in Louisiana and one half is in Alaska, they can always connect and come to Gray Matter Lane. But getting back to Uncanny X-Men, Gail Simone is on this book, and she has been doing her thing. What I liked about the last issue was that it really felt like a episode of X-Men 97 in a way, but with all the new characters mixed in as well. In the last issue, we have what is the beginnings of an alien invasion, and we'll see in this next issue how they deal with that. I feel like the X-Men are always separated. I mean, it's a lot of them, so it makes sense, but they're always separated in the beginning of some type of attack, and then they have to find their way back to each other in order to fight the big bad. But it makes sense, because when they separate, that's when we're able to get the characterization for each character, and then they come together, they fight the big bad, and we get all we want. We get the action, we get the emotions, we get everything that we need, hit all the spots. And at the last of the top of the list, we have Civil War Unmasked number 3 with Christos Gage on the writing tip and Edgar Salazar on the artwork. So what I really liked about these books is I feel like they found the best angle to come back to revisit these books. Initially, I wanted a lot of action to happen in between the storylines with Bishop and with Peter and with now Goliath, but I feel like they gave us the best story that could have happened in between. More so the most realistic version of what could have happened. And I appreciate that. Like, I did initially want more action with Iron Man and Bishop, but I was like, this is kind of, it makes sense that this would happen. And after reading it, I pretty much wanted all dialogue, because the action wasn't necessary, because it wasn't necessary in the story. I say it to say both issues have been great. And I'm interested to see what they do in this next one, because it's about Tom Foster as he picks up the mantle of Goliath after Bill Foster dies in Civil War. Again, this will be another story that's probably based on a lot of dialogue and has a lot of emotions in it. So I think it'll be a good one, and I can't wait to read it. And with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the spec list. All right, first up on the spec list, we got Clayface, Celebrity Dirt number 1, with Mark Russell on the writing and Michael Alfred on the artwork. And yes, I'm only reading this because they're coming out with the movie next year, which I don't know why you will come out with a Clayface movie as your third movie in your new universe when we have so many other characters you could have chose from. But that's a decision for James Gunn. Many people think his decisions are questionable as of lately, even though I loved Supergirl. I liked Supergirl. I thought the movie was just fine. They added some stuff that was silly, but I thought it was a good movie. Yep, I said it. For y'all people that's being very, very, very harsh about that movie, I think y'all going a little bit too hard. The movie was just fine. It wasn't perfect, but the movie was just fine and should not be talked about being flopping and terrible. We ain't even gotta get into that in this video right now. Getting back to Clayface. Again, Clayface to me is kind of like a more popular chameleon from the Marvel universe, but I still would not center an entire movie around Clayface. Before I do a Cyborg movie, before I do a Lobo movie, before I do a Deathstroke movie, Teen Titans movie. I'm just saying, Clayface, I'd rather have seen a Bane movie. Take us to St. Lucian, man. Show us St. Lucian and all the luchador and I could see until I pass out. before I see Clayface. But nonetheless, I'm going to be grabbing this book because I need to get a refresher on why Clayface would be important enough to get a whole movie. I sound like I'm hating on this, don't I? But I swear I'm not. I'm saying as the person that wants to learn. I want to come into the James Gunn vision to see why that he would make the executive decision to put this as the third movie. So this is a learning opportunity for you and for me. We can all learn together why Clayface is important. Next up on the spec list, we got Ben 10 number 3. Actually, we're going to revise this. Scratch this. This has been thrown off the spec list. It's no longer speculation. It's not being bought. I'll probably try to find this one on Global Comics because I think it's on there, but to read to see if I actually want to continue with the series at all. But I am disappointed. I have not found joy in these last 2 issues. They were bordering barely any action. It was just a move from alien. And I did not watch Ben 10 back in the day, so I have no nostalgia with this. I did not have cable back in the day, so I did not have Cartoon Network, so I could not watch this. And I wanted to read this because they said the original series was written by Dwayne McDuffie, so I was like, oh, this gotta be good. But maybe I'm just aged out because this book is definitely for children. And that's okay. That's okay. That's who it's geared toward. It's not for me. So this gotta be thrown off the spec list. Drop an F in the chat for Ben 10, y'all, because he ain't getting out the store this week, y'all. And with that said, I think I finally made my first good financial decision on this channel. Wow, y'all seen it in real time.
Good job.
I'm not going to buy a book, and I announced it. Sorry for the people who wrote the book. If y'all see this, no shade to y'all. I know y'all done great work, and we'll do better great work in the future. But on phone, I'm not joining getting bought this week. Moving on to the next one. And would you look at that? That concludes the spec list. We only got 1 book on there. I'm pretty sure I'm going to find something else to come out with. But for right now, we are optimistic that I only have 1 book that I might have to pick up off the shelf. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. And with that said, we're going to go ahead and jump into trade paperbacks before I find something else to put on that spec list and talk about. So let's go ahead and jump into that. Now, I've kind of pulled back from buying trade paperbacks, but I know everybody ain't me. They don't buy singles every week. Some of y'all got discipline. Y'all wait for the trades where y'all can get a little bit of a discount for the amount of books that's in the book. That's smart. Y'all are smart. I am not. I make bad financial decisions. That's what we've been talking about this whole video. Every month I tell myself I'm gonna wait, but then Wednesday shows up and then just take my money. Some weeks I'm so stupid that I actually buy 2 of the same comics just because of variant covers. Sometimes I even buy them on accident. I don't even realize there's 2 in the stack and the person at the register just is like, we got them. We got them for the extra $5.99. Anything for the sale. First up on the list, we have the Amazing Spider-Man Torn. This collects storyline that just stopped, I want to say like 5 or 6 issues ago, where Spider-Man was fighting the villain Torn. Now, I won't give up what happened in that book because there's a lot, and it's actually kind of confusing because I started reading it right after, and I'm getting all the explainers for the aftermath and what happened with that, and I was like, that's actually kind of crazy. Honestly, when you read those explainers in the beginning of every Amazing Spider-Man book, it's like a lot is going on in these stories. But I heard this one was cool, so I'm gonna go back and read this one since this happened literally right before I hopped into the storyline. So y'all should go ahead and pick this up too. I think there's like 5 or 6 issues that should be in this. So again, it'll help you save the money that I don't do. It'll help to save the money that I don't. Then last but not least, we have Spider-Men Worlds Collide, standing in the Spider-Man universe. And this story features Peter Parker and Miles Morales. And do we really even got to say anything more? I mean, Peter Parker and Miles Morales together, it's going to be a good story. I won't be picking this one up myself because I've been reading Brooklyn's Finest, and also, like I said, I've been reading through Ultimate Spider-Man run from the one that happened over this that just ended. But this seems like a cool story that you all can pick up, as if you like Spider-Man and everybody loves Spider-Man. And that concludes the trade paperback section. We only got 2, y'all. We only got 2. And I'm not buying neither one. Yes, Wallet, we doing good this week. We doing good this week. So, overall, I think this is a really strong week for comics. DC is absolutely leading my pull list. Marvel definitely bringing some heat. And the indies are kind of quiet this week, but that's okay. Don't talk. Do not talk. Do not talk because my wallet likes it when y'all quiet. I think my total is at 12 books since we dropped Ben 10 number 3. So that's looking good. But there's also some issues I need to pick up from last week.
Damn.
We shall survive. So now I want to hear from y'all. What's sitting at the top of your pull list this week? Are you rolling with Absolute Batman? Are you checking out that new Green Lantern Corps? Or did I miss a sleeper here that deserves some love? If so, tell me so we can give some love in the comments. And please keep the comments going with all the positivity. I know I missed last week because I was on vacation, but I'm keep going moving forward. And if you enjoyed hanging out with me today, please hit that like and subscribe button, leave a comment, hit the alert button, all that. please come back to another Pullpit Wednesday. Whether you've been collecting comics for 20 years or just picked up your first issue, I'm glad you're here. I'm Cornell Westside, and until next time, see y'all. Peace.